Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever discovered in my 47 years of doing therapy. These tools are gratefully available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website, click on the red or the Start Here link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages. It'll take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of that book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 17 years to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships, and to turn any negative emotional state into part of the infallible guidance system that each of us has been given. And you can access that actual tool on that same website page. It's a simple PDF file that when you click on it will let you download a completely free it's the worksheet itself, a simple PDF file, print it off and use it as often as you like. You can also go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness and get access to a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. We hope you do that soon and often because it frequently leads to comments, testimonials, questions, and that's why we're here. We are here 5 days a week in our current format, 2 hours a day. So give us a call if you got any of those comments, questions, or testimonials. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, it'll put a little question mark by your phone number, and I'll announce you by your area code, and we can have a conversation. We're also doing the Course in Miracles workbook lessons this year. Today is the 285th day of the year. Today's lesson simply reads, My holiness shines bright and clear today. The commentary says, Today, I wake with joy, expecting but the happy things that the Creator will send to me. I ask but them to come and realize my invitation will be answered by the thoughts to which it has been sent to me, and I will ask only for joyous things the instant I accept my holiness. For what would be the use of pain to me? For what purpose would my suffering fulfill? And how would grief and loss be of any use to me if insanity departs from me today and I accept my holiness instead? So, Creator, my holiness is yours. Let me rejoice in it. And through the forgiveness restored to sanity, your offspring is still as you created them. My holiness is part of me and also part of you. Pam Grout's Course in Miracles Experiment Lesson 285 reads, Always get your hopes up. She quotes Damien Eccles as saying, Our ability to shape energy is like breathing. We do it all the time without even realizing it. Pam writes, When I began focusing on what could go right, instead of the more popular viewpoint touted by CNN, I found that my so-called problems had a way of fixing themselves. I discovered that the less I did, the better my life worked. The more I identified with the invisible realm of goodness, joy, and beauty, the happier I became. The less I planned, the more magic became available. planning, by its very nature, is based on what we know. We can't plan for jerkskulk or wormwork. Why? Because our limited pea brains have never heard of them before. The invisible realm has a much bigger vantage point. So when we start focusing on all that's good, the flow opens up, and experiences that are way better than we could imagine mysteriously line up for our enjoyment. That's the message of Lesson 285. Today I wake with joy, expecting but happy things to come. I ask for them and realize that my invitation will be answered. What would be the use of pain to me? What would my suffering fulfill? So today, I ask only for joyous things as I allow my holiness to shine bright and clear. The happier I became, the less I planned, the more magic became available. Planning, by its very nature, is based on what we know. So, let myself wake up today and remember, I will ask only for the joy, and I will not worry about how that's going to happen. I will allow myself to tap into the positive, the creative, the mysterious. So that's our Course in Miracles lesson for today, and our Pam Grout Course in Miracles experiment commentary. And as usual, we've got about 50 minutes to entertain your comments or questions, testimonials, asking for help with a worksheet process that you've had great success with or that you're stuck on. Susan, welcome.
Thanks, Dr. Tim. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be on because there's still a lot going on around here, but I'm very glad to be able to tune in and hear a familiar voice at a familiar time of day. But the lesson is amazing in its relevance to new developments here. And I hope it's okay to talk about those because I could really use some advice. About 2 days ago, Jacob had a terrible psychotic episode, just really in a lot of pain and irrational and flailing, and got in his car and drove off and came back. And it suddenly popped into my mind that I should call an old friend from my parish who raised a boy who is now 23 or so who has autism. And he's very bright, high functioning. I called her and I said, I'm at my wit's end. I don't want to put this fellow back in the hospital. He's in a lot of pain. And she said, give him 2 ibuprofen right away. You have to get the kind with no food dyes in it. He may have an inflammation in his brain. This is an immune system reaction. I'd never heard of such a thing. I raced to the drugstore. They had one miraculous box left of that particular ibuprofen. Came home, gave it to her, stayed on the phone with her, and after about a half an hour, he looked at me with this amazing face and said, my brain just came back online. I've got my mind back. And he has been well ever since. And he's been taking, she said, treat it like a flu. Give him ibuprofen 3 times a day, 2 tablets of a certain dosage, and keep up his other meds. They won't interact. And see how he does. As my son goes off the rails every once in a while, and this does the trick. It's triggered this psychotic thing is triggered by any number of triggers, but usually just high stress. But it might be, for him, it might be a food additive or something. It might be an allergy reaction. He's got a very delicate mechanism going. But here's Jacob, who's just back online. He and I went grocery shopping this morning. We've been playing music together. And I'm, in my favorite miserable, am anxious. He's talking about going back to school. Shut up, Dr. Tim. He's talking about packing his own car with just enough as he needs so I don't have to drive all his junk back. He'll get back into courses. He'll try to make up what he missed and finish the semester and finish. And at first it seemed like crazy to me. And then I thought, this lesson says to be open. And I thought, I'm not being open. I'm trying to keep him in the I'm not so well category. And meanwhile, he's functioning really well. I asked him how he felt today, and he said, I feel great. And he doesn't feel manic. He just feels normal. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes. As a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons somebody like Dr. Donald Radin, who's in Illinois, who's an integrative functional medicine specialist psychiatrist, works so much with all of the deep testing to find out what is causing the inflammation, because he says the vast majority of things that are treated with psychotropic medications are quite often the result of inflammation in the brain.
Oh, wow.
And so you got lucky here that, some ibuprofen can reduce that inflammation in the brain. Sometimes it's a mold sensitivity or a heavy metal toxicity, or, it's one of the food allergies that is hard to pin down. But that's one of the best things they do for people to help them with, the whole range of behaviors that you might say are symptoms for a psychologist or a psychiatrist to treat. And what they find is when you reduce the brain inflammation, then the system restores its balance, and the person, as a good way to say it, comes back online.
Holy moly. This is so amazing.
Which is another reason. It's another reason why so many of those psychotropic medications end up having negative effects long term, because they haven't corrected the problem.
Right.
And they're just covering up the symptom or the effects of the problem.
Right. Well, he is on Effexor and Abilify, and he takes Seroquel at night. But suddenly he's sleeping through the night, which he hadn't done for a month. And I mean, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours of fitful sleep a night for a month would make you crazy too. And you and I talked about that the last time we talked, I think. But he's had 2 full nights sleep. And it's, I would love to have him be able to be in consultation with someone who can follow him from Allentown to Pittsburgh and make sure he's on the right meds. And this is tricky, but he also feels dependent on his Effexor and Abilify, and he thinks that's what's making him well, and it might be. I have no way of knowing, and if he goes back to school, we can't even experiment. And now I want to interrupt my whole thing to say, how did it go over the weekend with your webinar?
It was very nice. It was very nice. It was educational. It was more than you can take in one setting, which is why it's nice that they're going to make the recordings available. And I was talking about learning some things yesterday, and it's the kind of stuff that's too much to talk about one-on-one. A lot of these people had slides that they were showing, and they've written books about it, but it was everything from helping families with autism and the different approaches to making significant progress in helping people who have autism and their families, and learning to accept that they aren't going to be neurotypical for the most part, lots of those people. Everything from that to talking about alternative ways to deal with the kinds of things your grandson's going through. So there was lots of stuff, lots of good stuff.
That's
and it
great.
was well run. It was well run.
I guess I'm the only one who didn't find out how to come on, because there were slots that I wanted to listen to, and I had no link or anything. Now, I don't know what I did wrong, and I hope nobody else ended up missing out because they didn't have a link. But since I signed up for I think I did. Now, in my present state of mind, maybe I never paid the money and never signed up, but I thought I did. And
well,
if it's
but
not
that's
too
okay.
late,
Yeah, they're going to let people program of recordings for the month of October. So if you don't get a link, when it becomes available, let me know, and I'll help you make sure you get what you need.
Okay, thanks. That's great. Well, congratulations. I've printed out the program, highlighted about 8 things that I want to listen to, and also my friend up north, she's working and handling 3 kids at home and couldn't have done it live, but is interested too, so I'll make sure you guys, if I'll share them with her, and we'll compensate you for that too when the time comes. So I'm going to send her the whole program, though, and have her pick the ones she wants to hear. Anyway, just what an achievement. And here you are back on the radio show on Monday. Did you get any sleep during all that?
Well, I got sleep at night, but it was like not having a weekend, so it was an extra stress. But there were some wonderful. There was one gentleman who was joining the group from England, and it was midnight there when he was sharing. So there were a lot of committed people, and and people working to spread the good news about what works for them. And so there's a whole bunch. I think the interview with Mira Rubin got published today, so that's something you can pass on to people on journeysdream.org/podcast.
Yeah, that's the one you had aired on your radio show a while back, right? Yeah, okay, good. Good. Yeah, I'm going to have a session with her. But now it's out there for
replay. And
nice. Well, I'm just trying to be open about Jacob and do what he needs. He's 21. He's free. I don't want to hold him if he's safe, and I'm trusting he's safe, to go back to school as soon as he wants to, if he feels well enough, even though there are so many variables. And there was such a trauma. So I wonder if the ibuprofen could have...
Go ahead. You wonder if ibuprofen could have what?
Could have short-circuited or helped him end his detox from LSD and pot and alcohol and nicotine and all the stuff he has sworn off of now, and good luck. And I've sworn off sugar in solidarity with him, and he said that helps him a lot, and so it helps me too. So I wasn't a big sugaraholic, but I'm totally off now. So,
well, the thing about it is, if it's inflammation in the brain, and the inflammation was caused by anything, whether it was the alcohol, the other drugs, the marijuana, whatever, LSD, inflammation that's causing a problem, when you relieve the inflammation, the brain goes back to functioning. So it doesn't really matter what the source of it was, as long as you don't keep repeating the source. If the source isn't there and you eliminate the inflammation, the brain goes back to functioning. The brain wants to function.
Oh, that's so good to hear. So I'm not going to stand in his way then. We'll pack him up and go, as long as the dean says it's okay. He's on the phone with the dean probably right now discussing his options. So anyway, that's the report. Over and out. Now I just have to deal with my usual,
your favorite miserable energy,
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Well, I was going to talk today about the 15 commitments of conscious leadership, and the number 3 commitment there is I commit to feeling my feelings all the way through to completion. They come, I locate them in my body, and then I move, breathe, and vocalize them so that they release all the way through. So if you have this anxiety coming up, your favorite miserable emotion, make the commitment to feel it and not run away from it, not trying to deny it or ridicule yourself for it.
Good.
Because there's some really good evidence that if you allow yourself to sit with it, maybe you like to do the breath work, maybe you like to do the EFT tapping, maybe you like to do the 15 commitments way of locating it in your body, getting very, very clear about what that physical sensation is, and then breathe, move, and vocalize. Give a voice to those feelings until you feel them all the way through. And there's really good evidence that if I sit with that and let that happen, in about 90 seconds, it's going to shift.
Wow.
Now, it might, get triggered again by another thought or another trigger that I see from the outside and I choose to interpret in some kind of a negative way. It can get triggered again, but I can repeat the process of locating it in my body, feeling it fully, breathing, vocalizing, and moving my body to kind of express it, and then watch what happens.
Wonderful. You have published that before, haven't you? Don't I have a sheet somewhere buried in all my stuff? Or is this new?
Probably. No, this is
okay.
This is from the book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, and you can get this free on the internet. Just search for the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, PDF, and they'll let you print it off. And the website is conscious, CONSCIOUS.IS. And, there's a whole book about what this means, how they use it, why they've had success with it. The 15 different commitments, and for each one, an example of what it means to live above the line, which is in consciousness, or what it means to live below the line, which is unconscious.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to pay attention to that. Good.
The unconscious way, the below-the-line way about dealing with my emotions is I commit to resisting, judging, and apologizing for my feelings. I repress, avoid, and withhold them.
Wow.
And what they talk about with this is that we can tell what our commitments are by what is. So, one of the examples they give is that in this moment, every one of us is absolutely committed to what they weigh right now in this moment. How can we know we're committed to what we weigh in this moment? Because that's the truth in this moment. And our commitment is determined by what we do and what we spend time with, not by what we say. So I might think, I really want to be above the line, and I really want to allow my feelings and feel them and move through them and breathe and vocalize them. But if when my anxiety comes up, I try to deny it, I beat myself up for it, I try to suppress it, I rationalize it. Well, of course I'm nervous. It's because ...
Right.
And I'm not in the commitment above the line. I am not allowing myself to honestly feel my feelings all the way through to completion, and I'm not allowing myself the grace of acceptance.
Great phrase, grace of acceptance.
And the wonderful thing about this, there's a lot of good things about this, but one of the wonderful things about it for me is they give people a way to look at this that just takes all the excuses away. For anybody who wants to get rid of their excuses, look into this 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, because there's no way to rationalize this stuff away. What I'm doing, what I'm spending my time on, is what I value. The way I respond is the way I respond. And the way I respond is the definition of my experience. So it's just that simple. It's just like what Yeshua said years ago. They said, well, how can we tell? And Yeshua said, you'll know by your fruits. You'll know by the way your life actually pans out. If somebody tells you they're doing all the right stuff, but their life is a mess, you know by their fruit that they're not doing it right. So we just take all of the guesswork out of it. Look at your results. And that's essentially what they're talking about here with the 15 commitments. I know what I'm committed to by what is. And then if I look at what is and I say I would prefer this to be something else, then I take full responsibility. That's the first commitment, is I commit to take full responsibility for the circumstances of my life and my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. I commit to support others to take full responsibility for their lives. And that's above the line commitment. The below the line commitment on that first commitment is I commit to blaming others and myself for what is wrong in the world. I commit to be a victim, a villain, or a hero, and I take either more or less than 100% responsibility.
Wow. Wow, that's really good. It's like a huge gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. At every level, that's what this is about. Getting rid of the excuses, moving out of any victim mentality, learning to take responsibility. Responsibility is not something somebody else gives you, right? It's something you either take or you don't. It is the tool that we can use. As we talked about so often on this show, I can use the tool of responsibility, and when I do, that lets me assess everything that's going on in my life and get very clear about what is going on in my life that I have some control over. And then, if I don't like the results I'm getting, I focus on what I have control over, and I take action with that tool of responsibility, and it gives me the ability to respond differently the next time a similar situation arises. And that's so useful because I don't have a time machine. I can't go back and change what I did already that gave me results that I didn't like. So I'm not stuck moaning about the past, and I'm not blaming my past on myself or somebody else. I'm accepting it for what it is. And if it's something I would prefer to have be different, the next time a similar opportunity presents itself, I pick up the tool of responsibility, focus exclusively on what I have control over, and make changes where I can in an effort to have different results. The second commitment is I commit to grow in self-awareness. I commit to regarding every interaction as an opportunity to learn. And I commit to curiosity about my life and its unfolding as a path to rapid learning. Right? So I am committed to growing in my own self-awareness, and I'm going to look at everything that unfolds in my life as an opportunity to learn, rather than as something that's happened to me or as a roadblock, etc. You may have heard this before. A lot of people talk about how I can look at everything that happens in my life as either an obstacle or a stepping stone, as either an opportunity to learn or something to block me from the progress I want to make. And if I look at it as an opportunity to learn, and I generate and I kind of curate within myself this curiosity, this childlike curiosity, then I accelerate my learning. And then the third one we've already talked about, this commitment to feel my emotions and feelings all the way through to completion. Right? They come, I locate them in my body, and then I move, breathe, and vocalize them so they release all the way through. So if I start with taking responsibility and I commit to growing in self-awareness and look at everything that happens as an opportunity to learn, and I commit to feel my feelings all the way through to completion, that sets me up to be willing to do the next two. Number 4 is I commit to saying what is true for me, and I commit to being a kind of person to whom others can express themselves with candor. And that's a challenge because we are conditioned and trained and culturally and in many families to judge and to be in the position of proving that one is right and the other is wrong, and to be in competition with people rather than in cooperation and collaboration. But the fourth commitment is I'm going to be honest, not brutally honest. Remember, most people who talk about being brutally honest are much more interested in being brutal than they are in being honest. So I commit to being honest and saying what is true for me, and I commit to being the kind of person that others feel it's safe to be honest with and open with. And then the fifth commitment is I commit to ending gossip, to talking directly to people with whom I have an issue or concern, and encouraging others to talk directly to people with whom they have an issue or concern. Ending the indirect communication. Indirect communication, one of the biggest, most prolific producers of conflict in families and relationships.
Right.
And this is built into the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. End gossip. Promote direct communication. So I think that's enough to load up with instead of going through all 15. But beyond that, they just start to fill out, lovely, authentic, productive ways of interacting with people. So, comments, questions?
No, I'm going to just print that out and use them. I don't have anything more to say. Thanks, Dr. Tim. Just wish us luck over here.
Well, I do, and and keep in mind that if something goes awry again soon, that you've had a very strong indication that his functioning and behavior is related to inflammation affecting his brain.
Yep.
And so anything to take it to the next level, to find out specifically for him, going to an integrative or functional medicine psychiatrist who will do that kind of testing and help. This was one of the things I was sharing yesterday from the summit over the weekend, was that Dr. Walsh, who used to work with the Pfeiffer nutritional thing, and when Pfeiffer was alive, and he was there giving a keynote speech, and he talked about how they know from the work they've done and the studies that they've done that there are 7 areas that they find imbalances in that are responsible for the vast majority of all of the psychiatric and psychological problems that come into their offices. And he mentioned many, many times that they've got an enormous database. But the 7 imbalances are methylation, undermethylation or overmethylation, zinc deficiency, copper overload, folate deficiency or overload, pyrrole disorder, toxic metal overload, or fatty acid imbalances. And they've learned a lot over the years of study by doing all of these analyses and keeping them in a database and then cross-analyzing them. So they have more than just the individual case studies. They've got this enormous database that they can look at where they've interviewed the people and they've got the blood analysis and they find these imbalances. And it's pretty much just those 7 that drive most of the mental and emotional, or you might call them psychiatric symptoms that people come into treatment for.
That's so wild. What's his first name, Dr. Tim?
I think it's William Walsh.
Okay. Does he have a website?
Well, he's got a book. The book is titled what is his book title? Nutrient Power, Dr. Walsh.
Wow. Okay, thanks.
So if it comes back or if he has flare-ups, it's probably a good idea to pursue the next level of analysis. So you're not just taking, a generic something to reduce inflammation, but you're taking a look to figure out what was the cause, what is causing his inflammation.
Right. Well, it certainly looks like drug use and sleeplessness, and he swears he's not going back on anything, despite the culture of the school he's about to return to, where they all do it, or many of them do it. I hope he'll be strong enough. But it looks as if those were the triggers, because he has always eaten rather sporadically, i.e. badly, junk food-wise. He's rail thin. But he's been okay until he did this. So this might be what it is. Who knows? I would love to have him stay with us long enough to make sure all these appointments could be had and he could have a right kind of workup. But that might not be, and he is very bright, and he's 21, and I'll tell him about this, and maybe he'll see to it himself when he gets back to school, if he goes back to school.
Well, and it's useful just to introduce to him the concept that, okay, it seems fairly likely that the reason you're better right now is because you reduce the inflammation in your brain, and he's a bright person, so he probably have the, it wouldn't be too much for him to take the next step to say, okay, what might be causing the inflammation, and what can I stay away
Yeah.
from so I don't repeat this?
Right. Yeah.
And I know that, it's not, I know that especially since coronavirus restrictions, more and more people are doing things through the internet, and they're doing, consults and interviews, and then they're telling people, okay, based on this hour and a half or 2-hour interview we just did with you, this is what I would like to see from your blood analysis, et cetera. And then you can order that at your local lab or doctor's office. They can order it for you, and then you can get the analysis, in your hometown, and then get on, send the results to them, and they can get on and do the consult with you, which is, one of the hidden benefits of all of this coronavirus shutdown nonsense is that, more and more insurance companies are paying for that, and more doctors have created the all the technology at their end to be able to do that, to do these remote consults with people.
Yeah.
Anything else? You want to just leave it at that?
No, Dr. Tim. Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, blessings, and I'll continue to send
Thanks,
loving
Dr.
thoughts
Tim.
and blessings to you and the whole family, and thanks for letting us know that things have taken a turn for the better.
Thanks, Dr. Tim.
All right,
I appreciate it. Yeah, bye.
So we have about 15 minutes left, 563-999-3581. Call that number, press 1. We can have a conversation, or you can join us tonight on the support group. It runs from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Central Time. In order to do that, all the information you need to join us is available at mindshiftersacademy.org. Feel free to join us or pass that information along to somebody you think might benefit. And the other thing to do is to send me an email if you're listening to this on the archives and you want some clarification about something we've already talked about. Send me an email at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org, and we'll respond either directly through email or in the show that you can listen to in the archives. Again, I'm highly recommending the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, either as a practice for yourself or as a book to read or as something to introduce to your organization, because it's very focused, fully experienced. There's great research into the ways that if you apply these principles in your life can get more balanced, healthier, more productive. They begin the book by talking about the difference between a conscious leader and an unconscious leader. And they talk about how the unconscious leader, and both of these leaders are highly successful. They make a lot of money, and their teams are very successful. But the first one they outline is a gentleman who's basically doing everything that we would know from Mindshifters Radio that is going to set me up for bigger and bigger problems down the road. And this is, disrupted sleep, and use of drugs and alcohol to perk up in the morning, or drugs to perk up in the morning, and then alcohol to calm down at night so that I can sleep and go all day with no balance of time with family and committed relationship and exercise and no balance of good boundaries about when I can be contacted by my team, or a sense of the priorities of what is urgent that I should be interrupted with, and things that are routine that don't need to interrupt me. And then the second example they give is of a woman who's also a highly successful leader, but she sleeps a solid 8 or 9 hours a night. She has structure in her life that she has scheduled in time with her family in the morning. She doesn't start work until 10. When she's not traveling, when she's home, it's committed time with the family. The team is educated about what's important. They spend their time in productive activities. One of the key pieces they talk about is learning to live in your genius and from your genius. So little things like in this one opening example of this woman who is a highly effective leader, she decided to not drive to and from work, to have a chauffeur drive her. Why? Well, because she's not very good at it. It stresses her. She's not good at navigating the traffic. And yet, if somebody else is driving her, she's got time to do her meditation or do her creative visualization or do some planning. And the eighth commitment on this list is, I commit to expressing my full magnificence and to supporting and inspiring others to express their creativity and to live in their, here's this phrase, live in their zone of genius. So, an example might be with my personal experience. Organizational skills have always been a major struggle for me. So if I were living in my zone of genius, I would hire someone to keep my stuff organized. I would hire someone to open my mail and sort it out and give me the stuff that needs my action and to take action on the rest. This, might seem to some people as an absolute luxury and a frivolous expenditure of money. But when I commit to spending my time doing the things I'm best at and encouraging others on my team and in my life to do what they're best at and what they enjoy doing, we all benefit. So there's lots of little tweaks and flavorings. I was quickly read through. We've read through the first 5 of these, commitments to responsibility and curiosity and feeling feelings and being honest at a deep level and avoiding gossip. The rest of them are commitment. Number 6 is a commitment to integrity, to expressing the unarguable truth and keeping my agreements. The 7th one is, I commit to living in appreciation, gratitude, appreciation, to be fully open to both receiving and giving appreciation. The 8th one is, I commit to this living in my zone of genius. I commit to expressing my talents. The 9th one is, I commit to creating a life of play, improvisation, and laughter. And I commit to seeing all of life as unfolding easefully and effortlessly. And I commit to maximizing my energy by honoring rest, renewal, and rhythm. Right? There's a time for every purpose under heaven kind of thing, right? And if I am just go all day long and then allot myself 5 or 6 hours to get some sleep, it's not going to go well. The 10th commitment is, I commit to seeing that the opposite of my story about any issue is as true or truer than my original story. And I recognize that I am constantly interpreting the world around me and giving my stories the meanings they have for me. And somebody else's story and interpretation of the world is every bit as valid as mine. The 11th commitment is, I commit to being the source of my own security, control, and approval. And this is one of the biggest ones for those of us who are raised in a culture of competition and being made to believe that people and things outside of us create and control our emotions. The 12th commitment is, I commit to experiencing that I have enough of everything. I commit to making it my own experience. And in this work, Mind Shifters Radio work, we know I create my experience of life each moment by what I choose to focus my conscious awareness on. And the 12th commitment in this 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership says, I commit to experiencing that I have enough of everything, including time, money, love, energy, space, and resources, etc. And that's an experience I can create. That's that present moment awareness of life that we were talking about a week or so ago with the Richard Moss interview. The idea that in this present moment, my heart is beating, my breath is moving, my cells are working, I have enough. Even if there's an ache or pain in my body, I'm still here. And the more I focus on what is, without comparison or contrast to what I want it to be or what I'm judging, the sense of appreciation and gratitude and satisfaction grows. The 13th commitment says, I commit to seeing all people and circumstances as allies that are perfectly suited to help me learn the most important things for my growth. So even the people that show up in my life and they try to rip me off, or the people that want to blame me for their upset, they are a part of the unfolding of life that we talked about earlier in one of these commitments that says, I know everything that happens in life is an opportunity for me to learn. That's the second commitment. And I commit to curiosity about the moment. So here we are in 13. This is a positively stated commitment addressing how some people show up in my life, and my tendency is to interpret them as adversaries or enemies. And this commitment is to seeing all people and every circumstance as it unfolds as an ally perfectly suited to help me learn the most important things for my own growth. And this is exactly like Guy Finley's statement that the lessons I need to learn in life ride into my life on the back of events I don't want. The importance of a lesson for me is directly proportional to how much I do not want the event. So the lessons I need to learn come into my life experience riding on the back of events that I don't like. And if I want to know how important this life lesson is for me, I look at how much I don't want the event. And the more I don't want the event, the more important the life lesson is for me. The 14th commitment is, I commit to creating a win-for-all situation. I'm going to have a win for me, a win for the other person, a win for the organization, a win for the whole, for whatever issues arise, whatever problems, concerns, opportunities life gives me. I'm going to make a commitment to look for and work on a win-for-all solution. And the last commitment in this list is I commit to being the resolution or solution that is needed to seeing what is missing in the world as an invitation for me to become that which is required. And this is exactly the lesson, one of the big lessons in that book, Lizards Eat Butterflies, the realization that he had about how when I become aware of a pain or a suffering or an injustice in the world, I'm becoming aware of it at the level I am, when I am, because there's something that I can do. I have some level of energy or resource or just the awareness that can at least initiate part of a solution. So rather than seeing suffering in the world and choosing to get depressed by it, and I could choose to say, wow, I'm feeling this strongly, I'm seeing this deficit, and I'm experiencing it. There must be some reason that I'm aware of this. Let me just breathe into and ask, what's mine to do here? Maybe what's mine to do is simply sound the alarm, raise the awareness in somebody else. Maybe what's mine to do is add my logistics genius or my financial resources or my volunteer effort to creating a solution to that problem, whether it's a global issue or a local government issue or a local individual that needs support. So that's our show for today, 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. I will remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. And I will welcome Jeannie Rice and assist her by turning on the microphone on her switchboard.
Oh. Yeah, since I'm talking and nobody's listening to me. I think I got those. I got the website, conscious.is, 15 commitments.
Yep.
So put those in the notes for today. Awesome.
Yeah, and it lets you, if you search for it as a PDF, it lets you just, download and print off the PDF, and it's quite useful.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
All right. Have a wonderful show.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.